Okay, so we are continuing in our journey to simplicity. Okay, and this is following in the ways and the advice of Rabbi Nachman from Breslov, that he's really the only one. He's the only one who put this at a pedestal as an idea in Judaism, as something that we should aspire to be simple people, and not to be complicated people, and how to simplify our lives. But as we said at the beginning of every class, this is already the third class that we have on simplicity. Anybody who hasn't heard the classes on the first two, so I highly recommend seeing the first two. We've said that this is absolutely a Torah value. This is like, Rabbi Nachman said this about numerous things. Like most famous is about hisbodedus, about the concept of just speaking to Hashem on your own terms, not from the siddur. So Rabbi Nachman said that this is not, I didn't make this up. This is a very old thing that David HaMelech was doing hisbodedus, Avram Avinu was doing hisbodedus, Moshe Rabbeinu was doing hisbodedus. But it's very new. It's very new, but it's very old. And this is, like a lot of these things that Rabbi Nachman is saying, that they're actually totally based in our primary sources, like the Chumash. You should try to be simple Jews. Hashem commands us to be simple, but yet he's the first one to to devote a chapter to the topic of simplicity. Okay, so we ended up we're continuing at the topic of Chumras. Of Chumras and how Rabbi Nachman was against Chumras. He was against the concept of taking upon yourself stringencies, and so I want to speak out today four reasons why the Yetzer Hara wants us to be leaning towards Chumras, towards stringencies, towards not just taking the simple path, not doing like everybody else, being the guy who's super machmer, super stringent and everything. Why the Yetzer Hara likes us, has this, and this is a particular thing that we find with a lot of people, but particularly this is an issue with Baalei Tshuva. This is one of the symptoms of what's called Baal Tshuva syndrome, and the speaking of the devil. So no, I'm joking. So one of the symptoms of Baal Tshuva syndrome is that a person wants to be the most religious person around, and so this is and Rabbi Nachman was what?
You know the light bulb joke?
I'm sorry?
You know the light bulb joke?
The light bulb joke?
There's all the different light bulb jokes.
Okay.
How many colours all needs to be change a light bulb?
Yeah.
So how many Baal Teshuvas does it take?
How many Baal Teshuvas does it take to change a light bulb? Okay, nice. Okay, so if you didn't hear that, she said, I don't know, are you allowed to? So four reasons why the Yetzer Hara likes us to always be looking for more stringencies. Okay, so number one, this is an idea that we've touched on before. That number one, that the source of all chumras, the source of all stringencies is really for the desire to be in control. Okay. Now, what does it mean to be in control? It means that that a person likes to know that they're okay. That I would really like to make sure that I did exactly what Hashem wants from me, and that I have this feeling. My Yetzer Hara wants me to feel that if I take all the stringencies in the book, so then I'm for sure going to do okay. Then for sure Hashem is going to be happy with me. Then for sure I can put a check. I almost said, in Israeli culture, you don't say check, you say, I can put a V. because they do V like a whatever. So that in okay, there you go. So that I don't think that English people are listening to my videos, right? So if I take every chumrah in the book, so then I can feel that I'm in control. Okay, and now why is this obviously incorrect? Why is this incorrect? Because that's the Yetzer Hara that wants you to think that it's actually you are in control. Okay, because the truth is that we are not in control. And the truth is that you can follow the most amazing chumras in the world, and Hashem will still have the last laugh. Okay, this is something that unfortunately there was like tragic, horrible story. How long ago was this? This is like probably 20 years ago. There was this butcher in Muncie that I think, fortunately, I don't know his name. That this butcher in Muncie, that he had the best hechsher. He had Satmar hechsher and numerous hechshers, and they trusted him. And the most religious people in the it wasn't just Satmar hechsher. It was like the most religious people in the community trusted him. And it turned out that he was selling like complete treif meat. He would wake up at 3 o'clock every morning and bring the completely non-kosher meat and just rewrap it and get the holograms of the Satmar hechsher, and it was tragic. It was like there was Holocaust survivors that in the Holocaust that they were careful not to eat not kosher meat, and then here in Muncie, New York, they're buying from the best hechsher in the world, and they were eating mamish trevis. So it's one thing. It goes to show you that you're not in control. That you can be the most strict that is possible to be strict, and you're not in control. Okay, and this is something that we saw as well by coronavirus. That the people that they thought that they were in control, they thought that I'm gonna make sure never to leave my house, and they still got it because of that one time that they went to the supermarket, you have to the most basic thing in being a Jew, the most basic thing in Emunah is to understand I am not in control. Just accept it, embrace it. You're not in control. You're not going to be in control. That Hashem is the boss. You're not the boss. Okay. And if we can't embrace this, that we're never going to get anywhere. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. That it's like the most first thing in Judaism is you're not in control, not with religious stuff either. Okay, so you're going to have to trust Hashem. You're going to have to let go of the reins and say that Hashem, I'm going to do my best, but whether or not I'm going to be okay, it's really up to you. Okay, and now obviously this needs to stem from humility. Because where is it? What part of us wants to feel that we're in control? It's our ego. Our ego wants to think that I can do this myself, I don't need any help, that I'm going to decide if I'm going to be a religious Jew or not, and I'm going to make sure that I do it perfectly, that Hashem is going to be the witness, and Hashem is going to have the last laugh. Okay? And you can have the simple person that's doing it good, and the person who's doing everything complicated, that's doing it all messed up, and because really, we don't have control. Okay? So this desire to do every stringency in the book, because that way I can testify that I'm doing everything right. So it's coming from our ego, it's coming from our arrogance, from our desire for control, that to think that we can do this ourselves. And
where does the opposite come from? Mm-hmm. Where you admit to such a degree that you are not in control, that you don't actually exercise your own will upon your life.
That I don't exercise my will. What do you mean?
There's trying to do everything because you are trying to maintain control, and there is the far swinging of the opposite side, where you do absolutely nothing because everything is so far out of your control that you can't affect anything. So
I disagree. I think that's two sides of the same coin.
Interesting.
I think that a person is going to do nothing because everything seems out of reach. So that's because they think that you're supposed to do this yourself. It's because they see things in such a black and white manner. They see all of the stringencies, and they think that yes, God expects us to be superhumans. And because they see it like that, so then they give up from the beginning. They get overwhelmed, and they don't even bother. And the truth is that to say, okay, Hashem trusts me. Hashem is telling me to do this. So if He tells me to do this, so that means I can do it. So let's just do it. Hashem wants me to do this. Let's just do this. And so I'm not going to give up, because to give up is to not trust the fact that Hashem thinks that I can do it. So it's really that if I'm going to make life simple, I'm not going to give up. The reason why I'm giving up is actually because I made life complicated. So it's really that's an alternative reaction to this mentality of Chumras. Okay? Whereas if you're going to have a simplicity mentality, then why should you give up? Judaism is simple. Life is simple. You can do it. Yeah? So the truth is that this is, yeah.
A little bit like the example that you gave about the guy who was like deliberately trading everything off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm presuming that was a year.
Yeah.
And like presumably he had an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. But he had some shit. And he carried that out. So he was exercising his will.
Okay, I'm not getting into the free will thing.
Bizarre story. It's like it's very intense and crazy.
Yes, it's a very intense and crazy story. But I'm taking one point from that even if you follow every stringency, it's not foolproof. It's not foolproof. We're not in control. At the end of the day, we're never in control.
But we exercise trust, don't we? With everything. Everything we
Mm-hmm. Again, my point is simply that even if you follow every stringency in the book, you're still not in control.
Yeah.
Okay. So the truth is that this is actually the source of a horrible character trait called perfectionism. Okay, perfectionism is that the mentality that I need to get 100%, and I'm going to be disappointed if I don't get 100%. If I'm going to do something, if I'm going to get 98, if I'm going to get an A and not an A plus on my paper, if I'm going to do some reports for my boss and he's going to say that's okay, but it passes, and he's not going to say, oh my gosh, this is the best thing that I've ever seen, then I feel like a failure. Okay, this is a horrible character trait. It brings a person obviously to, first of all, it brings a person to OCD. The person is going to be obsessive to overachieve every time, and more likely is it's going to bring a person to be depressed. He's never going to be satisfied. He's always going to see the half of the cup which is empty, and that's because he thinks that he's supposed to be 100, and if he's only 98, so then he's a failure. Okay, so he's always going through life with the mentality as a failure, and that's obviously going to bring him to depression, right? So what is the source of this? What is the source of this problem? The source of the problem is obviously also from arrogance, from gaiva, that because a person thinks that he's supposed to be 100, person thinks he's supposed to be 100, so if he's 98, he's a failure. So, like, good morning, you're not 100. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you're just like everybody else. You're going to be just a good student. You're not going to be the top of the top, and that's fine, and that's fine. And like when this expectancy from ourselves that wasn't me. So the expectancy from ourselves that we're going to do everything perfect, and it gets even worse when a person gets into this mentality of perfectionism. So it gets dangerous when we start bringing our perfectionism on people around us, and that's even worse. That's even worse. It's horrible to do it to ourselves. It's even worse when we bring this facade of perfectionism onto the people around us, and the people we expect from our friends to be perfectionists, and we expect from our children to be perfectionists, and we expect from our spouses to be perfectionists, and we have this idea of what is okay is 100%, and anything less than 100% is suddenly a failure. So then we're in for a lot of trouble. We're in for a lot of stress because nothing is perfect. Because nothing is perfect. That in Rachav Tekor over here, so there's a wall where people like they write things, they draw things, they like different poems, different sayings. So there was a crack. There's a crack in the wall, and somebody wrote on the crack, "There's a crack in everything." Very, very profound. Like that. Really, nothing is perfect. Perfection is something that actually doesn't exist in this world. And if you're going to be a perfectionist, so you're actually not a realist. You're not living in this world. And to be upset at the fact that things aren't perfect is simply that just asking for trouble. It's like dooming yourself for disappointment and everything in life, because the fact is that life is not perfect.
That's
So,
a big lesson in the dating world.
yes. In many things, that we're not going to be perfect, they're not going to be perfect, nobody's going to be perfect, and like we have to forgive ourselves, we have to forgive them. It's really there is no such thing. It really it doesn't exist. Perfection absolutely doesn't exist. Okay, so this is the first thing. This is the this is the first reason that why the Yetzer Hara, how the Yetzer Hara wants us to go into Chumras. But actually, before I move on to the second, I want to tell you a story. This is a story, the story with the Baba of Rebbe. I love this story. It's a very beautiful story. That there was once the Baba of Rebbe needed some painting done in his house. He needed the house to be painted. So he found some painter that's a good painter, and so he comes to his house in Brooklyn, and so the black guy walks out the door with all his stuff, and so the first thing that the Baba Rebbe asked him is, oh, thank you so much for coming. Have you eaten breakfast? So he said, oh, I forgot the beginning of the story. The beginning of the story is that the story came out at the funeral of the Baba Rebbe. Okay, that at the funeral of the Baba Rebbe, so they saw this black guy that they didn't look Jewish, he didn't look like a convert, and he was bawling and bawling and bawling, and like so the chassidim came over to him, and he said hello, did you know our rabbi? And so he said your rabbi, he was my man. He was like, yeah, and he was like, how did you know our rabbi? So he told him the story. The one day that they said, I'm a painter. He called me to come to his house, and so I came to his house. And the first thing he asked me is that, tell me, have you eaten breakfast? So I figured he's going to tell me, across the street there's a diner. He says, first, I'm not in a rush, but no. That's not what he said. Come in. And he brings me gefilte fish, and he brings me this weird cream cheese and cottage cheese and all these like weird like the kosher foods, and after I finished, I said, okay, now I'm ready to start. So after he feeds me this kosher breakfast, so he gets and he says, okay, so there's something before you start. There's something that I need to tell you. So I figure, that's a normal thing. I'm a painter. I always it's normal that everybody has their things that they need to be their particular way. So I'm waiting for what's a special request. He says, I want you to know, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I say I think to myself, what the heck? I'm a good painter. Rabbi, no, you're a So he says, no. So I want to. Let me tell you something. Us Jews, so many years ago, so we had a temple, and that temple was perfect. But then our temple was destroyed, and since then, nothing is perfect. So I'm very happy that you're coming to paint for me. I'm very happy. I'm sure you're going to do a very good job. But I want you to know that it's not going to be perfect. That's okay. So anyway, so I did my job, and they paid me, and we left, and we were friends, and then the next week, so I got a job offer from another rabbi, the neighbor of apparently that they called the rabbi of the Baba Rebbe, and another rabbi in the same block. So now I know the routine: eat breakfast before, or he's going to give you gefilte fish. But I come in, and I expect that he's gonna he's also a rabbi. He also wants me to make sure that I'm okay. So he couldn't care less. He says, "Good, finally, let's get to work." So that here you have to do this and this and this and this, and then he says, "Okay, but before we start, there's something I have to tell you." So I said, "Oh, I know this rabbi shtick." So he says. I'm paying you top dollar. I want a perfect job. So the guy says, let me tell you something. you Jews, many, many years ago, you had a temple, and that temple was perfect. But then the temple was destroyed, and since then, nothing is perfect. so it's a very, very beautiful story, and I think I found the story when I gave a shir about the Baba Rebbe. I found the story, but it's a very beautiful story about perfectionism. That like the understanding that is the way it is. That life is not perfect. That it can't be perfect, and the desire for being perfect is actually an unrealistic goal, and you're not in reality at all. And so it's really coming from the arrogance. It's coming from the ego. It's coming from this desire to be something that you're not, because the truth is that life is never going to be perfect. Okay, that's the first thing. There's the Yetzer Hara. The first Yetzer Hara for Chumras is actually coming from this desire for control, which is desire for perfectionism. And so we have to like really internalize that perfectionism is the Yetzer Hara. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Things are not going to be perfect. They're not supposed to be perfect. Whenever we think that it's not okay, that we only got an A, we didn't get an A plus. We think it's not okay that we gave an okay class. We think it's not okay that we had an okay date. If it's not okay that we had an okay interaction with our kids, with our parents, so that I just realize that we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes, and we have to be okay. We don't have to be perfect. And the desire to be perfect is coming from an unhealthy gaiva, unhealthy arrogance. Okay, number two. The second reason why the Yetzer Hara wants us to get to Chumras is because when we do lots of Chumras, it's easy to feel very holy. And if I hold of this stringency that you don't hold of, so then I'm just waiting for that opportunity that you're going to say, hey, want to go to that restaurant? And I say, oh, is it badats? No. So, I only eat badats. And like, what, you're trying to tell me you eat non-badats? What, are you a guy? And this is what?
Being smug.
Yeah, that the Chumras can lead a person to feel that I'm holier than thou, and it can help. I love to be the best, and I love to boast my ego by putting everybody down, and I can prove that I'm a better Jew than you because I only eat badats. By the way, when I say badats, so there's even people that only eat badats edecharedes. That there's lots of badats. Like there's badats Reuben and badats Bells and there's people that only eat edecharedes, and it makes no sense at all. I think it comes from the fact that like 70 years ago, so like badats was the best hechsher. So like they said, like I want to just make things simple. I only eat badats, but like things have changed in 70 years, and like now there's Baruch Hashem, there's lots of good hechshers. Like they won't eat lendal, they won't eat like top hechshers. That is just like our custom is to only eat badats, even though the badats that your great grandfather only ate was a different rabbi, and and the other hechshers that they didn't eat was different hechshers, and so it really makes no sense at all. But it's great for boosting your ego, because now I only eat badats, and like You're one of those regular people. I'm the special Jew. I'm the one that Hashem, when He looks down at the world, so He says, oh, at least there's so-and-so. At least Baruch Hashem, at least so-and-so is doing okay. Everybody else is eating those other hechshers, but thank goodness for so-and-so that he is the only one that's really honoring me properly, that he only eats badats. And that's why these people, they're positive, that's the way Hashem is looking down at the world, that He's like, this is like, I'm so happy that somebody cares about me, that the only, and so this is and obviously this is a very, very treif, a very, very twisted, crooked way of looking at life, to think that I'm holier than everybody else. It's not gonna help you gain friends. It's not gonna help you that Hashem is gonna think highly of you. And and this is the when we're talking about gaiva, when we're talking about arrogance. So it's actually one of the biggest sins in the world. It's actually one of the biggest sins in the world. It says in the Gemara that when Hashem looks down at the Baal Gaiva, so He says, "Ein ani v'hu yicholim lagor b'yachad." That I can't stand him. I can't be under the same roof as him. Like I just like go somewhere else. I need space. You have such a stench. This the Baal Gaiva, they have such a stench that Hashem says I can hang out with the people who worship idols. I cannot hang around the people that are arrogant. Okay, it's the worst thing in the world to be arrogant. And a person can be arrogant and express his arrogance by being Chumras, by being the holiest person around, because he's doing every Chumrah in the book. So he's so sure of himself that he's the holiest person around, and really, so he thinks he's being religious, and actually he's making himself the most impure person in the entire world. Okay, so the laugh's on him, okay, and the joke's on him. So, I'm sorry?
Do you engage someone who's self-centered or arrogant? Or
Do I know any self-centered people?
A bad idea to approach these people and say, look, people don't want to be around you because you're so self-centered?
No.
People can't tell them?
No, never tell a person that you're a self-centered piece of garbage. Unless it's your wife. Like, just kidding. Just kidding. No, I mean, there's no halacha about this. I don't think it's... usually people who are really so arrogant, so they're going to go tell their friends that you'll never believe the funniest story. So-and-so came over to me, and he tells me that I'm self-centered. Look at who does he think he is? He's like... Anyway, so I had a story once with a friend of mine. With a friend of mine that it was Pesach. It was Pesach, and there was this... and so there was this brownies, these awesome brownies that they're kosher Pesach. It's the Chatam Sofer. It's not for Chabad, but Chatam Sofer. It's a very good hechsher. It's badatz. It's badatz level hechsher. And so I was eating that. I was eating these brownies because I think they're great brownies. I actually like every Pesach. It's like they're the best, like the best kosher Pesach. No kidneys. Kosher Pesach brownies, and I really enjoy them. And so this person was there, and he says, "Oh my gosh, you eat chasm sefer brownies?" So I said, "Yeah, chasm sefer. It's a great hechsher. It's a great hechsher." So he says, "But didn't you hear that they have some leniency that they do like such and such and such and such and such and they hold that even though it's like in batal and they're the somech that it's allowed to be batal and like." I said, "No, I never heard of that, but." If you say it's okay, it's probably okay. So he said, "Oh, I would never touch that. I would never bring that into my house." So I told him, the truth is that you and I we're really agreeing. We really both are on the same page. We both do what makes us feel good. It's just that for you, what makes you feel good is that you can walk around and say that I don't eat chasm sefer brownies, and then that makes your day. You enjoy the fact that you're not eating the brownies because that way you can tell everybody that you're the guy that doesn't eat the chasm sefer brownies. And me, what does it for me is to eat good brownies. So I'm enjoying myself, and you're enjoying yourself, so we're both happy. So that like I think that Hashem is happier that we should enjoy the brownies than we should enjoy the not eating the brownies. so like this like joke. There was a joke about the it's not a joke. There was a guy that there was a Rosh Hashiva that his student was in charge of bringing him breakfast every day. So one morning, the student asked him, "Rabbi, should I bring you leban or buddy?" Okay, for those who don't know, the leban is like the sort of like sour cream, kind of like basically it's without sugar, just some kind of milk, like a kind of not meringue. No, there's no sugar. It's sort of like something between it's like yogurt without taste, sort of. It's like a little, not as thick as yogurt, and whereas buddy is pudding. Okay, so we said, like, Rebbe, should I bring you the tasteless yogurt, like, the tasteless watery yogurt, or should I bring you the pudding? Okay, so the Shiva says, what's the difference? A buddy, 11. What do you think I know the difference? Bring me a buddy. Like, he says, like, first, he makes himself out to be like a person to, like, you think I know the difference if it has sugar or doesn't have sugar. I just eat whatever's in front of me, like, as if I know this. If it is, like, bring me the yogurt, bring me the pudding, bring me the what the kids like. Like, he makes really, he's like everybody else. He's a human being, and he likes things which are sugary and full of chocolate. But he's embarrassed to say that he's human. So he has this whole introduction that, like, what do you think I know the difference? And that's his gaiva, that's his arrogance, that he wants his student to think that I'm not human. He wants his student to think that like I'm above simple things like liking sugary, chocolatey things. But really, he's just saying, like, as if it's like just arbitrary. Just bring me the thing that kids like. So Hashem wants us to be simple. Hashem wants us to embrace our imperfection, and to do otherwise. To do otherwise is really like to think that I'm holier than everybody else is the most horrible avera of gaiva. Okay, that is number two. Okay, so the second reason why the Yetzer Hara wants us to embrace Chumras, it wants to always take the most strict approach to everything, is because it helps to boost our arrogance, to make us feel that we're holier than other people. Okay. Now, there's a third reason. It's a very interesting thing. There's something called the Vidoy of Rabbeinu Nissim. Okay, Rabbeinu Nissim Gaon. He was one of the Gaonim. This is like a very ancient text that we have from Rabbeinu Nissim Gaon. He was the Gaonim is like right after the times of the Gemara was the Gaonim, and Rabbeinu Nissim Gaon was one of these Gaonim. So there's a text that it exists in our Machzor on Yom Kippur called Vidoy of Rabbeinu Nissim Gaon. Okay, he authored this confession to Hashem where he was. It's a prayer that we can say, that it's in the Machzor that we can say it before Yom Kippur, that expressing our inadequacy of serving Hashem properly. Okay, and it's very eloquently written. It's very beautiful passages. And so in this video of Rabbeinu Nissim, so there's an interesting line that it goes that he confesses to Hashem that as asher hikalta hechmarti. That the things that you made lenient, I was stringent about, and the things that you were stringent about, I was lenient about. Okay, that's the confession that he's confessing to Hashem. And so everybody asks that why does he mention the fact that I was stringent on things that you were lenient about? Like, I should get extra points. I should get credit for that. That, like, what's wrong with being stringent when I don't need to be stringent? So that one of the Bali Musar, maybe it's Rabbi Soslan himself, that they explain that it's meant to be read together. That the reason why I was lenient when I should have been stringent is because I was stringent when I should have been lenient. Okay, or in other words, that the Yetzer Hara has this plan for us, that he likes us to waste our energy on the things that are unnecessary, and then when there's important things, so then like we don't have strength anymore to do things the way we're supposed to be, and so he likes to get us to drive ourselves crazy over silly, unimportant things, and then when we have something that's absolutely necessary, then we're just going to completely blow it. And for example, a person could drive himself crazy to do let's say a person is trying to good example. A person is trying to he's planning to do Hashavas Aveda. Okay, he's planning to return a lost object. Okay, so what's the halacha for Hashavas Aveda? So if you find a lost object, so you need to put up a sign in the places where people are going to see it. Okay, and so a person, let's say a person wants to be extra stringent, and he doesn't suffice with just putting up signs where people are going to see it. Nowadays, that can totally be putting it in Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups, like that. If it's whatever makes sense, the person is going to see it. Okay, but this person, let's say he didn't suffice with that, and so he decided that he's going to put up a sign at every single bus stop in the entire Jerusalem. Okay, so he's gonna be away for another 10 hours, and he's going to go, and he thinks he's being very, very holy, and he thinks he's like doing a super mitzvah. And meanwhile, so he didn't tell his wife that he has some extra mitzvahs to do today. And meanwhile, she totally needed him, and she was going crazy with the kids and going crazy with all the whatever stresses that were going on. And so he was being very lenient in the needs of his wife, and because he was being very machmer and doing things that he absolutely not required to do when it comes to some random person that lost something that might or might not ever get it back, right? So because he was so machmer, because he wasted all his energy on doing something that he actually didn't need to do, so he no longer had energy for the things that he did need to do, which is to be there for his family. Okay, so it's very possible, and this is true. This is true in many areas, that a person could waste their energy on the chumras that where it's unnecessary, and it brings them to just have a skewed look on life, and it brings them to really have everything just like everything backwards, to be living a backwards life, that I'm being careful about the things that I'm not supposed to be careful about. I'm being lax about the things that I'm supposed to be careful about. Okay, and this really brings us to the fourth point. That the fourth point that the Yetzer Hara wants to get us with Chumras is that he really likes that we should put our focus on the superficial aspects of life. And when a person is doing these chumras and things that it's possible to do, like I can just make sure to only eat a certain hechsher. So it's a very like what kind of hechsher I'm going to eat is a very superficial thing, and I can, like, in terms of being machmer, I can be machmer that everything it says that it's better if you say this paragraph. Okay, there's lots of things in Shulchan Aruch that if you like for example, the whole section of the Siddur before Pesukei Zerma. Okay, there's probably 50 pages that in this book it says that you should say this paragraph, and this book it says you should say this paragraph, and they all made it into the Siddur. Okay, really, what a person's supposed to say is Birkat HaShachar, and maybe one other paragraph, maybe like Parshas Tamid and Parshas Keteris, but basically maybe Birkat HaShachar in 2 paragraphs, and the whole rest of these 50, 60 pages that are at the beginning of Shacharis. So it's like in this book it says nice to say this, in this book it says nice to say this, and a person could say, well, but if in this book it says you're supposed to say it, so then I want to say it, right? That means Hashem wants me to say it, and you can say that I want to do a good davening, and then you can say, now that I spent an hour and a half davening Shacharis, now I really, really did everything right. Okay, and the truth is that with davening, everybody that ever tried davening knows that really more is usually less and less is usually more. That in the words of Chazal, that tov ma'at bekavana me harbe b'li kavana. That it's better to have a smaller davening and have a lot of kavana than to have a long davening and not have intention, not be concentrating on what you're saying. And the more you're saying, that by definition, the more you say, the harder it is to have concentration for such a long time. So a person that's being machmer on the external parts of davening, i.e. saying more words, so it's by definition at the expense of the kavanah, because it's completely impossible to have a true devotion for such a long time, such a long period of time. So the Yetzer Hara, he likes us to focus always on the superficial parts of the mitzvahs, and this is true in any mitzvah, that like the more if a person that's gonna be machmer in getting the most expensive esrog, okay, so it's very easy to think that, okay, I spent 300 shekel or $300 or $3,000 on an esrog, and that now I did so much, now I did it now, and whereas like if I that really what's more important in buying an esrog, what's really important, what's important in doing an esrog is that when I shake the esrog, when I take the shekel lulav, that I'm having kavanah, that I'm having simcha, I'm feeling close to Hashem, I'm feeling connection, and like a person can think that, okay, I did it already because I spent the 300 shekel, and now I'm good to go, and can forget about the essence of the mitzvah, which is really the kavanah. Okay, there was once and this is why that in general, that if we need to generalize, that in the more Litvish world, so they're more into Chumras, and in the more chassidic world, they're more into kulas, they're more into leniencies. Like that because what did Chassidus teach? Chassidus taught to look at the essence. So the Chassidus teaches that the most important thing is your connection with Hashem. The most important thing is your devekus. The most important thing is your kavana, and that it's not about like buying the most important, the most expensive, to knowing all of these miscellaneous opinions and being machmer according to these miscellaneous opinions, and because when you're putting your attention on the external things, so then it's going to be at the expense of the inner things, of the essential things, of the soul of the things. And there was some rabbi that was known for like doing everything like very, very lenient. He would always find some opinion that says it's okay to do it like this and okay to do it like this, and everything was like a little bit off. And so the student says, so a student said, like somebody once came to a student and he said, your Rebbe, he's the biggest makel in the world, and he said my Rebbe he had a lot of kulas, but there were certain things that he was extremely machmer on. He says, what do you mean? So he says my Rebbe was extremely machmer on Ahavat Yisrael. He was extremely stringent when it came to Ahavat Yisrael, when it comes to loving every Jew. That even the person that was the most disgusting person in the world, he was machmer even to love him. Even when a person that it was so easy to speak lashon hara about him, he would never speak lashon hara about that person. That just to be strict in Ahavat Yisrael, to be strict on the important things, to be strict on the essential things. So this is really that when we have a tendency, when we have a person, when a person is going to have stringencies on the superficial parts of mitzvahs, so then he's forgetting that there's a whole world of the essence of mitzvahs. He forgets to be strict about chesed, to be strict about just like caring about Hashem, and this is really the price that these machmirim pay, that they end up being lax when it comes to the really essential things in life. Now, very quickly, now a person could come from this class and say, okay, you convinced me that no more chumras for me. From now on, I'm going to be the most lenient Jew in the entire Jewish people. Okay, so now that could also be a problematic thing. Now, first of all, what exactly is considered a chumrah? What is considered? People have this tendency to think that anybody who's more religious than me is a fanatic. Anybody who's less religious than me is a heretic. And so, what exactly is a chumrah? Like, you have a person that thinks that, oh, I'm not so like I'm not such a stringent person. That I have a roommate that he only he only buys tissues before Shabbos. He pre-cuts his toilet paper. I don't go crazy like that. I'm not such a machmer. And the truth is that the cut toilet paper on Shabbos is mamish 3 averos. It's three. And every time you cut toilet paper, it's three times you're being Chala Shabbos. I was once in the I go to this Chabad minyan with like people like they tear toilet paper freely, and I once asked somebody like, is there a Chabad leniency about this? And somebody told no. The Chabad the Alter Rebbe is even extremely machmer on this. It's like he says clearly, it's also like people are just people are lenient about things which are mamish chil Shabbos, and they tend to think that a person that does such a thing, he's a machmer. And the truth is, it's not a machmer. It's just that you don't know. It's just that you didn't learn. So the first thing is that before we understand what's a chumrah and what's a halacha, so you have to simply learn. And before you learn, so you have no way of knowing, you have no way of gauging what's a chumrah and what's a real halacha. That it could be that something that you always thought was a chumrah, and it's actually a very basic halacha, and vice versa. Something that you thought was a halacha, and it turns out was actually just a chumrah. Right? So that's why the first thing that before we bring this into practicalities, so the first thing is that you have to learn. And there's no escaping learning. And the only way to live a healthy Jewish life is only by learning halacha and learning what's the real halacha and what's the chumras, and only then can we understand what does Hashem want from us on a basic level. What are the chumras that we can decide if we should or should not accept, etc. Number two, that there's a person. It's very possible for that these people that are always looking for chumras, always looking for kulas, they're always looking for the most lenient rabbi in the world. So oftentimes it's not coming from the place that I want to be healthy, I want to be humble, but rather it's coming from a place of, I really don't like Judaism. Judaism is a problem that needs to be solved. And I would like to find any loophole, any way of getting around any time that Judaism is going to tell me anything to come out of my comfort zone. So I'm going to look for the rabbi that's going to say that it's okay, that I can just remain in my comfort zone forever. So in other words, that oftentimes a desire for leniencies is actually coming from a lack of care about Judaism, a lack of care about God. That to think that Judaism is a problem that needs to be solved instead of the truth, which is that Judaism is not the problem, Judaism is the solution.
I would argue that they actually do care about Judaism, which is why they're looking for if they didn't care about Judaism, they just wouldn't do anything, but they want to do Judaism the easiest way possible.
Right.
Without violating anything.
Without losing their comfort zone.
Yeah,
they have a certain guilt. They have a certain guilt of going against what they know is wrong, but whenever possible, they would just like to do whatever is in their comfort zone. So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is that the way that they look at Torah, that is Torah a yoke on me that's annoying me, that I would like to minimize the annoyance, or is Torah a guide to life? Is Torah something which is the solution, which is the thing which is going to bring me happiness and satisfaction and success in life? And if I look at Torah values and Torah instructions as the thing that's going to bring me close to success, so then I'm not always going to be looking for the easiest way out, because if you're always going to be looking for the easiest way out, you're not going to succeed in life. So in any particular area of Judaism, that's a certain way that the Torah is telling you this is the way to succeed in life. So if I'm going to if I'm always going to be looking for the easiest way, so then I'm not going to succeed.
Yeah, I guess maybe the goal isn't necessarily to succeed, but just to
check off, right? That's what I'm speaking against. That a mentality is that I just want to just make sure I'm okay with God, that I didn't go against what He said. That's coming from this mentality that the Judaism is something which is impeding on my freedom, and not something which is giving me my meaning in life. That once I make the switch, once I realize that the Torah is something that I'm striving for, that the Torah is something that I see the value and see the beauty and see how this is enhancing my life, so then I'm not, that when the Torah says that maybe you should change your life to be in a Torah way, so that I'm not going to look at that as an attack. I'm going to look at that as an opportunity. As
Yeah, for me, I just don't want to do something unnecessarily.
oh, I also this entire class was about not doing things unnecessarily. I'm just stating that there's people out there that the reason why they're always looking for the most lenient approach is really coming from a desire to. The best would be if I wouldn't have to do anything. So the next best thing is if I can find the most lenient approaches. Right? That's really a very twisted, that's a very messed up mentality, because that's not realizing the beauty of Torah.
So, quick question. If we pull back further on the concept of don't accept unnecessary chumras, and we go back beyond the last 100, 200, 300 years, are not the gezerot from Chazal just that? Chumras.
Oh, not at all.
That are,
Not at all. Let me explain.
Yeah.
When we have gzeros from Chazal, we have rabbinical institutions. So when they make an institution, so that is a halacha. That is they are saying with their rights, with their authority to guide the Jewish people, that this is a necessary thing to stay away from, and if you don't stay away from this, then you're going against what Hashem wants. Okay? When we're talking about chumras, we're talking about that there's numerous opinions, there's numerous approaches, and there's legitimate approaches that say it's okay, there's legitimate approaches that say it's not okay, and I'm always looking to be more stringent, because you never know. Okay? And that is uncalled for. It's uncalled for. There would be places to be machmer. One example to be machmer is that if it doesn't feel right, if being lenient doesn't feel right. I had a question. Somebody texted me that they're in America, and they wanted to know, is there a problem to eat? Is there a problem to order a Slurpee in a place that doesn't have a hechsher? That if you see them making it and everything's cold, and so is there any? If you see all the ingredients and everything's kosher, but the place doesn't have a hechsher, so I told her that strictly speaking, I don't see a problem. That if you see everything, if you see all the ingredients and everything's cold, so then there can't be anything non-kosher in the Slurpee. But personally, I don't think I would do it. I think that it's a healthy way of life to just have a rule. I only eat in places that have a hechsher, and I don't think I would feel comfortable doing it. Okay, so but I'm not saying that you have to. I'm saying that halachically speaking, I think it's permitted. But I think that the feeling is something that should be respected as well.
So then the definition of chumrah is necessarily relative to the individual.
Correct. Absolutely. That for some people, to take a chumrah will be appropriate. For some people, it will be an act of arrogance. Okay. So one example of a place that it's appropriate to take a chumrah is when you just don't feel comfortable with the leniency. Okay. If it just doesn't feel right, if you feel like you're doing something treif. Now, keep in mind that it could be that the reason why it feels weird is because for the past 20 years you thought it was actually treif. But I think that there's room for this place of chumrah that it just doesn't feel right. A second place that it would be appropriate is if you actually researched the topic yourself and you came to the conclusion that something is actually not okay. And so I don't think that it's appropriate to ignore your personal opinion. I think it's actually very beautiful. The person celebrates their personal opinions and on a personal level actually takes that stringency. Now, but what should you not do? You should not tell everybody else that, oh, by the way, I'm the world's expert on such and such, and I know the truth that what everybody does is actually not okay. That is the exact opposite of what we're looking for. That is the epitome of arrogance. That to think that you actually know better than the entire world, that's really a problem. That my rabbi once told me about this. That this rabbi, he wrote a sefer. He wrote a sefer on Shemitah, and at the end of the book, so he wrote like a kitzer halachas, like a simple line by line, just what to do, just the laws without the explanations. So So he wrote on a certain halacha, he said, such and such is forbidden. But if somebody wants to be lenient, so there are opinions that can be relied on. Okay, so if you look in the footnotes, so who says that it's forbidden? He himself. And and if you want to be lenient, there are legitimate opinions that can be relied upon. Who's that? The Chazon Ish. That's the Chazon Ish. So Mary was making fun of this guy, that like what he should have written is that such and such is permitted. And if you want to be machmer, so yesh al milas mach, then there are opinions that say that you're allowed to be machmer. That's it. But like a person, like on the outside, so like know your place. That you're a simple person. Everybody else is probably right, and you have your thing that you came out with this conclusion that it's forbidden. So by all means, be machmer for yourself, but don't think objectively that actually everybody else is wrong. Okay, that's the epitome of arrogance. Okay, so what do we do? So what do we actually do? On the one hand, so if we're that to be super machmer is going to drive us crazy, and it's going to get us to arrogance. It's going to get us. It's coming from the Yetzer Hara. On the other hand, so the other extreme of always being lenient can bring us to be just lax. Can bring us to stop caring about Hashem, stop caring about Judaism, about Halacha. It could also it could also just like really just cause us to do leniencies that are actually against halacha. So what's the solution? So the solution is very simple, and this is a teaching from Pirkei Avot that says in Pirkei Avos in Parak Aleph Halacha Yud Zayin, Rabban Gamliel Omer, Aseh l'charav v'histalek min hasafek, that you have to have a rabbi that you ask questions to, and then you don't have any doubts. Okay, so meaning the person that always wants to be mekel, so he's like. That he says, okay, I'll do my own research. I'll dig up the most lenient opinion, and the person he refuses to ask a rabbi, because asking a rabbi is allowing somebody else to control you, and the person that's always machmir, so he also doesn't want to ask a rabbi because like, who says the rabbi is right? Maybe the rabbi is going to be too lenient for me, so I'll just always be machmir. I'll never ask rabbis. Okay, so there's two reasons why people don't ask rabbis. One person doesn't ask rabbis because he's scared of losing control, because he's scared that the rabbi might tell him it's not okay, and the other guy doesn't want to ask rabbis because he's scared that the rabbi is going to tell him that it is okay. And so the only way to come out in a healthy way is aseh l'charav, is that if you to bring yourself to be asking questions. And that's why to accept that, to find a rabbi that has a healthy approach to life, that has a healthy approach to halacha, and just follow what he says. Okay, that way you're not going to be too machmer, you're not going to be too mekel, and obviously this isn't a foolproof solution because a person that wants to be machmer is going to find a rabbi who's super machmer, and a rabbi, there's a joke that it says by Esav that yesh li rav, I have a lot. So Rabbi Nachman says that there's a hint of this, that even the biggest Russia says yesh li rav. I also have a rabbi that says that what I'm doing is okay. So it's not a foolproof advice, but if a person is looking for a healthy approach to life, so this is the solution: to find a rabbi that you think has a healthy approach to life, and just trust them. And just trust them. And this is trust them when they say that something is not okay, and trust them when they say that something is okay. And this is the only way that we're going to escape the problems, the dangers of being stringent, and the dangers of being lenient. And but totally that if a person wants to serve Hashem properly, he needs to just let go of this desire for perfection, let go of this desire that I'm going to be the most religious person in the world, and that's how we're going to connect to the essence of Judaism. That's how we're going to connect to the essence of Torah, and to be real Jews, not people that are superficial Jews that can do everything right on the outside. This can help us focus and put our energy on the real things in life, and being good people and being God-fearing people, of really caring, real devotion, and B'ezras Hashem, this is what's going to bring us to a really healthy relationship with Torah and Hashem. B'ezras Hashem. L'chaim, l'chaim.